What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. We got Spoon, we got Dalt. We're getting ready to rock and roll. We are going to find out today who are the most underrated running backs of the post 2000s NFL era. We got a whole list of running backs we're going to go through. But before we get to that, we are also going to take a look and do a couple player comparisons. So, real quick, before we roll the credits, comment, subscribe, and let's get this thing underway. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to jump right into things. We're going to start with the player comparisons here. We're going to start with the player comparisons. So we'll get that, then we'll get to the main subject of the video. The first player comparison, I'm going to pop it up on screen here. Give me 1 second.
I was going to say, whenever we get to the running backs, can I give one first before we all give one?
Oh, yeah,
or,
sure.
Or just, I don't care, but it's literally every time somebody talks about running backs, he is the first guy that comes to mind, and I don't know why. But he always does, and it's always him, and he literally is the first person I looked up because I wanted to know his exact stats, and I got him right here. So,
yeah, for sure. So first up, these are all three wide receivers. These are their career stats. So everything you can see here. So we'll go down the list. So player A has 1 All-Pro. B and C have 0. Games played in, player C has the lead with 205 to player A's 171 and player B's 139. So on and so forth. The green just means they have the most in that category. It's not always an indication of this is the best thing in this category because playing 205 games isn't necessarily any better than playing 171 games, especially when you have more targets in that span. So
14 years played and 0 All-Pros.
So, and I'm going to tell you this right now. All three of these guys were like in their primes regarded as top 10 to top 5 receivers.
Okay.
So I got plenty of hints here, so let me know if you want hints.
Okay.
So hint number 1, player B is the only active player on this list.
Okay.
He's played 11 years.
Yes.
Are they all three kind of recent though?
They are all post 1990.
What's the last year for A and C? Like, what was the last year that they played?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
You're good.
I got another hint here for you, though. Each player only played and only has played for a single team as of right now in their NFL career. So all three of these guys have only taken live snaps in a football game for one team each. So
then is it possible that one of them is Michael Thomas?
One of them is not Michael Thomas.
Okay.
One of them is not Michael Thomas. I'll give you another hint. Player C was the only one to appear in a Super Bowl. The other two did not make Super Bowls. What?
And then he didn't win. He didn't win the Super Bowl.
He did win a Super Bowl. He did.
Okay.
He is a Super Bowl winning wide receiver. Was the wide receiver 1 for 90% of his time with his team. Do we got any guesses?
We
need another hint.
Des Bryant?
No,
Des Bryant's not on the list. No, Des B.
I don't think so. I'm just
no Cowboys. No Cowboys. I'll give you that hint. No Cowboys.
No Cowboys.
Okay.
No Cowboys. No Vikings. So. No Bears.
No, because
nobody.
C's not in the league anymore. You said, right?
So yeah, B is the only person in this. I'll give you guys the hint of no Cowboys, no Vikings, no Bears. None of these three guys have taken a snap for any of those teams.
Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is not on the list. One more. I'll give you guys fire
Marvin Harrison Sr.
Nope.
Fuck.
Player B won a Comeback Player of the Year award.
Dude, I don't even pay attention to that award.
I
really don't.
Most people don't.
Only person that comes to mind is DeMar Hamlin, and that is not a valid answer.
Player A was the only first-round pick out of all these guys.
Fuck.
player A. So this one's kind of a unique one. This was very unintentional, but this I found this out going through their stats and stuff. So player A and player B are the exact same playing weight. They both weighed the exact same amount. Player A and player C are the exact same height. So that's kind of just a random one, but that did, like, I found that whenever I was going through all this stuff.
John Stallworth.
Nope, too far back. So
Steve Smith Sr.
Nope. You guys are in the right eras. You guys are nailing the eras. I'll give you that.
Damn.
So each player in their prime played with a top 5 QB for at least, like, their QB was considered top 5 at some point in their career while they were playing with them. Or soon thereafter.
This is tough.
It is tough. There's
so many receivers.
Player A resided in the NFC. Player
Yeah.
B has only played for an AFC team in his career. He has not taken a snap for any other teams yet. And then player C resided in the NFC for his entire career. You know,
And I'm trying to nail that. I'm going over Super Bowl wins.
So,
and I'm trying to see Demaryius Thomas?
Nope.
Damn, because I feel like that'd be a good one.
Player C won his Super Bowl at the very end of his career. He was more so the wide receiver 2 on that team, but he was the wide receiver 1 for the majority of his career. He played probably on one of the most loaded offenses to win a Super Bowl in the past 30 years.
Was it for the Patriots?
Torrey Holt?
It was not Torrey Holt. It was not on the Patriots. It's a very underrated team that doesn't get... I'll give you a hint. They were a bottom 2 seed in the NFL playoffs. They were a wild card team that won the Super Bowl. Player C's team that won the Super Bowl was a wild card team that won the Super Bowl.
See, that makes me think Steelers, right? No,
he did not play for the Steelers.
How did that team do in the play? Did that team make the playoffs last year? Give me that hint.
Did the team that player C played for in his career make the playoffs last year?
Yes.
Obviously, he wasn't a part of it, but they did make the play. Or yes, they did make the playoffs.
Just narrow it down a little bit.
I'm stupid. It's an NFC team. NFC team, Super Bowl wins, loaded offense.
It's a very underrated loaded offense. So, like, most people don't think of this offense when they think of loaded offenses. But they were. Is it what?
Is the team the 49ers?
It is not the 49ers.
Is it the C? No, Seattle didn't make the... It's not them.
Fuck.
It's tough. I made this one tough. This one, we got two of these, and they are not easy. They are not easy ones.
Could this guy have been on the Saints?
Nope.
Packers.
Okay.
So I will say this. Wait, what was that?
The Packers?
He was a Packer.
Okay.
Then Donald Driver?
It is Donald Driver.
Okay.
C is Donald Driver. He was actually the wide. I was looking it up. He was the wide receiver 3 behind Greg Jennings and James Jones when they won the Super Bowl in 2010. But that team had Jermichael Finley, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, James Jones, and Greg Jennings. So 5 Pro Bowl level receiving options for Aaron Rodgers, along with James Starks in the backfield, John Kuhn in the backfield, and a top 5 defense.
That's actually funny too, because like I was thinking of Packers, and I was like, it's not Jordy Nelson. You're like, because his stats didn't seem like that, but it was a guy that, of course, played with Jordy Nelson on that team.
Oop.
Nope, not yet. We got to still guess A and B. Okay, so give me a range. So we know that's Donald Driver.
Yep.
B is still in the league. Is A? Did he play in the same era as Donald Driver or before Donald Driver?
A, he overlapped Donald Driver, but he was on the tail end of Donald Driver's career.
Okay, so we're a little more recent. All right.
Yeah, Donald Driver was the oldest player on this list.
Okay. So no Super Bowls.
I'm pulling up.
11 years played.
Yep. He played in the NFC. Was a first-round pick.
Player B is still active.
Player B is still active. Still active. He's on the tail end of his career, though. He is at the tail end of his career. Has never played in the Super Bowl. Has only taken snaps for one team in the NFL.
Oh, player B's only played for one team?
He has only taken snaps on the football field for one team. So far for his entire career. And he is set to be a wide receiver 2 next season. Player A, I'll give you their height and weight. Player A is 6 foot 211.
Short guy.
Probably played a little bigger than he was. He was drafted in 05. Stopped playing in 2015.
Is one of them DeAndre Hopkins?
Nope.
No, that's who I was thinking was player B whenever he said 11 years and
Okay, Robert
no
Woods.
Super Bowl.
Nope. No Robert Woods.
Keenan Allen?
B is
Yep.
Keenan Allen.
That's a good one.
Okay.
So now we got to find a guy that overlapped with both of them. One All-Pro. Lots of targets. Lots of games played. 11 seasons.
Played lots of games. I will say this:
He hasn't been injured that much. Then, if player A and B have been, you see what I'm saying? He hasn't missed a whole lot of games.
Player A was drafted in 2005.
Okay.
Had 2, 4, 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and then retired in 2015. He played alongside a top 3 wide receiver of the past decade. At the end of his career, he was the number 2 to a top 3 receiver of the past decade.
Roddy White?
It is Roddy White.
That's
A
good.
is Roddy White. He played alongside Julio Jones. All right. So those are the 3. We got Roddy White, Keenan Allen, and Donald Driver. Just, similar careers, like similar numbers all across the board here. Donald Driver, a little more yards per reception. The Super Bowl, obviously. But Keenan Allen with the most Pro Bowls, Donald Driver had the most 1,000-yard seasons.
So Keenan Allen has only played for the Chargers. He just got traded to the Bears, right?
That's why I said very deliberately, I said he has only
Active
taken snaps
Yeah.
for one team in the NFL because he technically hasn't played for the Bears yet, but he is on the Bears team. So I had to be very deliberate with that. I didn't want to mislead you guys too much. I wanted it to be a little hard, but I didn't want to just straight up lie to you. All right. So next up, we have another player comparison here. I'll have to zoom out a little bit, I guess.
Damn. It's a lot of rushing yards to go over.
So rushing yards, rushing 3 career running backs. Okay. Career guys. These are full careers. So green, I grade out the ones that aren't really important for like who did best and, are kind of up in the air or they were a tie, something like that. Like receptions, they're, like if you get targeted more, you're going to get more receptions. For a running back, that's not as important. All 3 of these guys obviously won an MVP. All 3 of these guys won at least one Offensive Player of the Year award, and all 3 of these guys, made at least 7 Pro Bowls. So,
any active,
at least
active players?
None of them are active. None of them are active currently. There is a player that has played within the past 10 years, going all the way back to the 70s. So,
holy shit.
Yeah, so one of these guys played going all the way back to the 70s and 80s. One of them, somewhere in between, and then one of them just retired within the past decade.
Is one of them Matt Forte?
One of them is not Matt Forte.
Damn.
Matt Forte did not make the
Always,
list.
I don't. Emmitt Smith, probably not.
Nope, no Emmitt Smith. All right, so give you another one. So 2 out of these 3 guys are in the Hall of Fame. Okay. All 3 of them were top 8 picks in the NFL draft when they were drafted. A and C. Actually, I'm going to wait. That's a big hint. I'm going to wait till later on to give you that one. That one will narrow it down to like 10 dudes. So I'm gonna wait on that one. I'm gonna wait on
Is
that
one of
one.
them O.J. Simpson?
No.
Is player B, okay?
Okay.
Is it Frank Gore?
No.
Damn, dude.
He goes,
Is Frank Gore any of these three?
no. Frank
Okay.
Gore is not on the list. One player played for 7 different teams. One of these players played for 7 different teams in his NFL career.
I mean, that sounds similar to Frank Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding.
One of these players never had a sub 1,000 yard season.
Oh wow.
Never in his career.
Adrian Peterson.
For which one?
I'm gonna guess. Who had the most yards? B.
Negative. B is
A?
not Adrian Peterson. A is not Adrian Peterson.
So it's
C.
C is Adrian Peterson.
C.
C is Adrian Peterson. So AP all day. So that kind of gives you the echelon that this list is in. So,
It's one
you
of
found
them,
the guy that
Tony
played.
Dorsett.
All right, I got a pool.
It's not Tony Dorsett.
Is
No
player B Steven Jackson?
No.
God dang it, dude.
All right, you want a big hint?
Give me a big hint.
Yeah.
Big hint. All right, so all three. Oh no, sorry. Player A and player C. So it's not as big a hint for C anymore. But both rushed and had 2,000 yard seasons.
Eric Dickerson.
Nope. Player A is the one that never had a sub 1,000 yard season. If you're
Jim
watching
Brown?
them struggle right now, if you're enjoying watching them struggle right now to figure out who these players are, just go ahead and hit like. Just like it if you're watching them struggle is enjoyed to you or is enjoyment to you.
I'm
It's enjoyment to
cheating
me.
right now. I'm just looking at a list right now of
Yeah,
things.
he's just
Guys.
openly. I'm cheating, guys. Like I can't figure this out, and I'm cheating.
I couldn't name, man. I'm
I'm
so
just-
bad at picking players. You know what I mean? So I got to go with what I have.
So obviously, 2/3 of these players are in the Hall of Fame. So that means A and B are in the Hall of Fame because AP hasn't been retired long enough to be eligible for the Hall of Fame.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Not yet. He's not eligible yet. I think it's 2
That's
more
weird.
years.
That's so weird. I literally Googled running backs in our Hall of Fame running backs, and his name was the one that popped up. That's why I guessed.
He will be. He'll be a first ballot.
Oh,
Hall
he
of
will
Famer,
be.
but he's just not eligible yet to be in the Hall of Fame. He has to be retired for 2 more years. Let's see. Do I have any more?
Curtis Martin.
Nope. Curtis Martin is not on the list. All 3 of these dudes are top 5 in rushing yards all time. That's the last big hint.
Don't look that up. Don't look that up,
Dalton. If you look that up, you'll have your answers. So you can't look that one up.
I'm looking it up, but I won't say it.
Well, then that's no fun. Don't look at that one up. Don't look that hint up.
Okay.
Just
Fine.
think like who are the guys that you would expect to be top 5 in rushing yards all time?
Marshall Faulk.
Nope. No Marshall Faulk. God, this is crazy that you guys aren't getting these. Oh my God, you guys are gonna
What's
hate
his
me
name?
when
Jim Brown.
No Jim
right?
Brown. No Jim Brown.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders.
Oh,
For
yeah,
which one? Which
Player
one?
A. Player A.
Player A is Barry Sanders.
Dude, that's
Player
so
A.
fucking funny because whenever I first said, because when I think of running backs, I think of Emmitt Smith and I think of Barry Sanders. And when I fucking guessed Emmitt Smith, I was like, just throw Barry Sanders out there. And I was like, nah, he wouldn't do that. That's way too easy. Fucking
Exactly.
ass.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're just missing player B. Player B has the most rushing yards on this list.
Also in the Hall of Fame.
Also in the Hall of Fame. Also has the most receiving yards on this list. Second in touchdowns.
Did he play for the Colts?
No, not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Did he play for the Bears?
He did. He did play for the Bears.
Do you want to guess it, Dalton?
Fuck. I mean, that's all you.
Walter Payton.
It is Walter Payton. Walter
Okay.
Payton is player B.
Nice.
Walter MVP. So there you go. We got Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Adrian Peterson. I just went all like straight to the top,
you went
right?
all.
I was
top
like,
guys.
they won't expect me to do like the big names. They'll be trying to think of like Matt
Obscure.
Forte. They're
Yeah.
trying to think of like obscure names. They won't expect me to just go straight to the top. Yeah, no. Yeah, Walter Payton only played with Chicago. So that is the list, everybody. That is everything. So we're gonna switch back over to 3-person view here, and we're gonna get to the main part of the episode now, where we take a break, and we're just gonna ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Once again, we appreciate it. Just take a second to do that. Give you a couple of minutes here. Oh, not a couple minutes, couple seconds. Give you some time. All right. If you haven't done it yet, that's on you. We would appreciate it if you did, but if you haven't, you haven't. Next up, we're going to talk about who are the most underrated running backs of the post-2000 NFL era. Like, I feel like after the year 2000, like NFL running backs like slowly started to taper off in their importance to the team. Obviously, you got guys like Adrian Peterson in there. You got guys like Derrick Henry in there. You know, you got great running backs still, but for the most part, it is kind of
everybody
tapered
thinks
up.
of Frank Gore too.
Yeah. But I want to talk about like the most like underrated guys, and I just want to shoot the shit with you. We're not gonna. This doesn't have to be like some strategic debate on who's the best. I just want to just fucking reminisce about some old school guys if you're younger than 30.
You know what a name comes to mind when it's somebody who it was when I first started watching football. Darren Sproles.
Yeah, Darren Sproles is a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the name that pops out. He played with the Saints, right?
Yeah. So
he could just do a little bit of everything.
I don't even have Darren Sproles on my list. That's a hell of a good one. I didn't even have him on my list. So like my number one. And this guy's recent, so maybe a little recency bias, but I saw a list the other day that had him on it. Todd Gurley. Like,
he's forgotten.
He's forgotten. Like, nobody realized that dude's still like top 10 in rushing touchdowns in the NFL since like 2015. Like, dude was.
He just kind of like came in real quick and then just fell off real fast.
Sean McVay abused him.
Yep.
And then threw him in the trash. Like,
he was like a top pick, like what, 2-3 years in a row
like
in fantasy?
Top 10 pick. He was like a top 10 pick overall, was huge in fantasy, carried the Rams to a fucking Super Bowl, carried Jared Goff to the Super Bowl, and then 2 years later, just like, meh, you can go play in Atlanta, and then he goes to Atlanta and then disappears.
All right. So every time I hear like forgotten running backs, old school running backs, who's the first one that comes to mind? This is always mine, and it's Clinton Portis.
Ooh, okay.
And
all right,
it's a weird one because he played for Washington. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan. I hated watching him play.
Yeah, absolutely.
But dude came in and he rushed for over 1,000 yards his first 4 seasons in the league.
Yeah,
rushed for over 1,000 yards 6 of his only 9 seasons in the NFL. And I mean, 3 of the first 4 seasons he rushed for over 1,500 yards. Like, that's insane,
dude. Clinton Portis was. I remember like watching him when I was younger, and dude was just good. Like, there was never a time where he wasn't just straight up good. Like, but speaking of division rivals and having division rivals have good running backs, Matt Forte. Yeah. Matt Forte is one of those guys. It's like, hella underrated, was a phenomenal receiving threat, was a great runner of the football. Riley's going to be so pissed that he's not here for this episode. Oh my God. He would be like, what? He would be going crazy. But
I'm lucky enough to have seen Matt Forte play. So
live, you were there live.
I was there live.
Yeah, you were there live.
Caught a game-winning touchdown.
Really?
Yeah, Matt Forte did.
At the game you went to, you wouldn't watch. What was it? Bears Cowboys?
Bears Chiefs.
Bears Chiefs. You went to a Bears Chiefs game. We grew up. For those of you who don't know, we grew up in Missouri, so closer.
I was cheering for Bears. So
I got another guy who I think is like, when he was healthy, this dude was a top 2 running back in the league alongside Adrian Peterson, and he's kind of forgotten. Like, he's the only dude that ever like held the true candle to AP during his prime. That's Jamal Charles. Speaking of Kansas City, I mean, Jamal Charles had a 1,500-yard rushing season, a 1,400-yard rushing season, a 12-touchdown season. I mean, this dude, and then the receiving yards. I don't even remember how many. Let's see if I can find it real quick. for his
He's somebody else.
career.
He's somebody else I remember playing for the Chiefs. He's like the first running back I remember
Yeah.
playing for the Chiefs.
So I mean, Jamal Charles has over 10,000 career scrimmage yards. 10,000 yards, and I feel like nobody even remembers him.
How many seasons?
9 years.
Okay.
9 years, 10,156 scrimmage yards, and then 64 total touchdowns.
Never had a sub 1,000 yard season.
Well, he did. He got there's a couple years where he played 2 games, 5 games, 3 games, 2 games. So if he was healthy, from 2012 to 2014, he had 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards, 1,000 yards, and he had 25 touchdowns in that period. So, I mean, when he was healthy, top 2 running back in the league. And I feel like if I said name the 10 greatest running backs of the past 20 years, he might be on that list. Like, you might think about him eventually, but I feel like he's hella underrated. And then another guy who I think is hella underrated for a different reason. You guys remember LeGarrette Blount?
Yep.
I gotta pull up his.
He's a Super Bowl winner
Yeah.
with the Patriots, correct?
He went to 3 straight Super Bowls.
Oh yeah, because he was wasn't he on the Tampa Bay team too?
Yeah. No. He went with the Patriots in back-to-back years. Let me double check this. He went with the Patriots in 2014, 2016, and then went with Philadelphia in 2017.
That's right.
So dude only has a career 6,300 rushing yards, so nothing crazy, but he has 56 rushing touchdowns in that time.
Yeah.
So, he's played 7, 8, 9, 10. He played for a decade, so 5.5 touchdowns and 600 yards a season over, but 3-time Super Bowl champion starting running back. And I guarantee you nobody put him in the top 10 of the greatest running backs in the past 10 years, much less the past 20, 25.
So another one that comes to mind, I know you know him, Ritter, Michael Turner.
Yeah. Old Falcons boy.
Falcons running back.
Dude,
one of those I just remember watching him and Maurice Jones-Drew just run people over.
Oh, dude. Maurice Jones-Drew is literally next up on my list. That is my next dude. MJD, like, everybody thinks of MJD as an analyst now, but I remember watching that dude bowling ball his way down the field.
Yep.
Like, all 5'6", 250 pounds of him, dude. He was a fucking animal. But speaking of littler running backs, you know who's like one of the all-time greatest teases at the running back position? And injuries cut his career way too short, and probably one of the biggest what ifs of our generation. He played for Kansas City. Priest Holmes.
Yep.
Priest Holmes. I got the stats pulled up here. They're from 2001 to 2003. Dude had 1,555 yards, 1,615 yards, and 1,420 yards. So 3 straight 1,400-yard seasons, and had, 56 touchdowns in 3 years. He had 56 touchdowns in 3 years. He had an 8 touchdown season, a 21 touchdown season, and a 27 touchdown season. And those are just the rushing stats.
That's insane.
That's just the rushing stats. He also had
he was 5
receiving touchdowns in that period, with a 614-yard receiving season, a 672-yard receiving season, and a 690-yard receiving season. So for those of you keeping track at home, 2001, that's a 2,169-yard all-purpose yards with 10 touchdowns. Finished first-team All-Pro, Offensive Player of the Year voting. He got 4th. 2002, that's 2,287 yards with 24 total touchdowns. 4th in MVP voting, Offensive Player of the Year, first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler. And then he had the 2003 season, which was 2,110 all-purpose yards, 27 total touchdowns, and finished 5th in MVP voting, 4th in Offensive Player of the Year, 11 total votes for Comeback Player of the Year with All-Pro and Pro Bowl. And in that time period, so he had the 56 total touchdowns in that time period. 40 total touchdowns, So 25, 51. So 61 total touchdowns in those 3 years. 61 total touchdowns. He had 6 turnovers. 10-1. 10 touchdowns for every turnover. I mean, dude is the biggest what if of all time, in my opinion. Like, he just doesn't, like, we'll never know because he got injured. But, like, who's to say he couldn't have done that for another 5 years?
So back to running backs that would just run people over.
Yeah.
Dalton, do you remember this guy? Marion Barber?
That sounds vaguely familiar, yes. Who did he play for?
He was our number 2 running back for the Cowboys behind Felix Jones.
When did he play? What years did he play?
05 to 2011.
Okay. Yeah, that's
unfortunately
about when I remember starting to watch football.
I was going to say, unfortunately, he never broke 1,000 yards, but, I mean, he was pretty damn close 3 times in a row.
That's right. I remember playing as him in fucking Madden 07.
I would just take Felix Jones out and have Marion Barber be my RB1.
God, how old am
watching him play?
Madden 07. That's almost 20 years ago.
Sorry, I had to decline that phone call real quick. Yeah, no. Speaking of Cowboys running backs, though, I mean, I feel like a lot of people give him a lot of credit anyways, but Zeke Elliott, I mean, dude, granted, got to play behind one of the best offensive lines of the past 30 years.
So stoked for him to be back, bro. Like, I feel like he really just brings a positive energy into the locker room. That's literally like the best thing that everybody says about him, that he's just like,
he's still young. He's only 29. He's not super old yet. I mean, granted, the cliff.
Well,
but we kind of ran him into the ground. We kind of used him like Todd Gurley.
So I'm going to tell you right now, in his first 4 seasons, 3 out of the 4 of them, he had over 300 carries. He's had 230 plus carries in every season except for last year, in which he still had 184 carries.
That's the only Patriots.
Dude has 89. So if he has 1,100 yards this year, he'll move over the 10,000 career rushing yard mark. Like, that's huge. Like, that is a staple thing for running backs to get to that 10,000 yard club. I mean, you just saw the APs, the Barry Sanders, the Walter Paytons. Those guys are at 14, 15, 1,600 yards.
If Zeke has an 1,100 yard season this year, Cowboys are in the playoffs. 1,100 yards.
Very potentially. Very potentially. I mean,
at least. I mean, come on.
He has had 1,000 yards. Let me look at this here. Every year that he has played at least. Every year he's had at least, if he's been healthy all season, he had 1,000 yards. Except for in 2020, he had played 15 games and only had 979 yards. So that's kind of a if on him. But the next season he has played 17 games, had 1,002 yards exactly. So he got there, but just barely. But yeah, no. Last guy for me is actually I have 2 guys technically, but a guy that I feel like gets his due, but like I feel like the younger generation today would probably be like, nah, that dude's washed. LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy. Yeah. I mean, dude was nasty back in the day. I feel like it was like Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, and LaShawn McCoy back in the day were like the 3 big running backs. Couple guys challenged him. You remember Alfred Morris?
I do.
Alfred Morris challenging him. Doug Martin. You remember Doug Martin?
I thought he was going to be such a good running back, dude.
Oh, dude. I remember a dude, big Tampa Bay fan that I grew up with. I remember him looking me straight in the eyes and be like, dude, he's going to be way better than Adrian Peterson ever was. Ever. Like, he's going to be so much better. Yeah, because he was like, he had that like 1,400 yard season, like straight out the gate. And he's like, Doug Martin's going to be so much better than Adrian Peterson. But we're leaving off the biggest name of all time, the biggest tease at running back, and I'm gonna take the restriction of 2000 and on off of this for the statement of like biggest tease at running back of all time. Peyton Hillis.
Yeah,
like just like one great season, and then I am not playing for anything less than the most amount of money, and then gone.
Yep,
like, I feel like that's. I feel like, I mean, he got the Madden cover. Like, he was like I got to pull up his stats now.
What year was that? Was that like 2010, 2011?
It was. I feel like it was 2011
It was
is when he had the
2010.
2010.
I think so. Yeah, when he had his 1,000-yard season.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't even remember how many yards. I'm pulling up the stats now. I can't see it yet. Do you know? Do you have them up in front of you?
Like the total yards that he's.
Yeah, I got it. 1177
Yeah.
rushing. Yeah, I mean, this is insane. Plays for Denver for 2 seasons. Has a total of like just under 400 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Goes to Cleveland, becomes the starter, averages almost 4.5 yards a carry, 11 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, has a total of 1,600 yards, 1,650, and 13 touchdowns, and then tells Cleveland, like, yeah, I want to be the highest paid running back. And in 2011 gets hurt, and then never, like, he goes to Kansas City, never does anything. 85 carries for 309 yards in 13 games. Yeah, he goes to New York and plays in a grand total of 16 games over 2 seasons with 370 yards total in 2 seasons. Like, the dude just like, I am the best in the world. Nothing. Like, I feel like that's like the ultimate, like, you know, ultimate tease at running back.
Here's kind of another tease, and I didn't even know this. Do you know? So this guy played for only 5 seasons. And each season, he had more than 1,200 yards. Tiki Barber.
Tiki Barber. I
Wow.
love me some Tiki Barber. I love it.
He only played. I didn't realize he only played 5 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah,
That's
he
crazy.
was super short-lived. Super short-lived.
And
career.
he every season over 1,000 yards, over 1,200
Tiki
yards.
Barber. God, I forgot about
even
Tiki
better.
Barber. You know who that makes me think of that I also forgot about?
Who?
That he was a high-profile guy, definitely high-profile name, but a guy
Who did Tiki Barber play for?
The Giants.
or Giants. Sorry, I said Bucks, but Giants. Yes,
That's
the
Rondé
Giants.
Barber.
Yeah. It just instinctively came out. It was definitely the New York Giants. There was that beef with him this offseason in Saquon, and him telling Saquon basically, you. But so the next, God, who was it? CJ2K, Chris Johnson.
Yep.
I mean, the dude it was a short career. Dude rushed for 2,000 yards. I guarantee you, nobody's being like, dude, I would take, prime Chris Johnson on my team. Like, no, like, bro, that season, he was like lightning in a bottle. Like, he was so fast. I remember watching him being like, I didn't know, like, people, like, I watched Randy Moss and I was like, I didn't know people were that fast. Like, Chris Johnson was just like hit the hole. And then before they could wrap him up, he would be like 10 yards downfield. Like, they would be going to break down for the tackle, and then he would be like 10 yards downfield. But how do you do that? How did you just do that? He was never that good again. But I feel like, for a guy who rushed for 2,000 yards.
One more. This can be my last one. But
Cool.
Speaking of Chris Johnson, a guy that played same time as him, Arian Foster.
Yeah, undrafted free agent, Arian Foster. Arian Foster. Dude, I forgot all about him. Dude has if you haven't looked up Arian Foster's story, go through, look up that man's story. It is phenomenal. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember that he is like, started on the street, living in a car type situation, and ended up being one of the all-time great, Houston Texans, and a definite high-end running back. I don't remember what his stats were, but
I mean, I know for 3 years running, he had over 1,200 yards. He had a 1,600-yard season, 1,200 yards, then 1,400 yards, all three in a row.
I feel like Adrian Peterson and Derrick Henry are the last of the, like, truly great, like, downhill runners. Todd Gurley could kind of be thrown in there for a couple of years. But, like, those are the last of the great, just, like, tall, 6'2", just power runners. And then, like, the Matt Fortes, the LaShawn McCoys, the Le'Veon Bells, the Arian Fosters, all of those guys kind of paved the way for modern day running backs, like a Christian McCaffrey type. Like, I feel like Christian McCaffrey is Matt Forte on steroids, right?
Right.
Like, just all around dual purpose, like Jamal Charles, dual purpose guy, Matt Forte, dual purpose guy, Alvin Kamara, dual purpose guy. All those guys were like at the turn of like 2010, like it shifted to that style of running back. And that's what like helps your team succeed more now than, your traditional Adrian Petersons, your traditional, Walter Paytons, your traditional Priest Holmes, like those guys. So that's just me. But you guys got any more names? I'm all out of names. I got that was you got one more?
No,
just think
no,
like,
no. I had something else.
I was just gonna say,
Oh.
I feel like from 08 to 2014 though, those like 6 years was just excellent for the running
Jam-packed.
back. It was
Jam-packed.
so much. I mean, you got to
So
see Adrian Peterson and
much.
Chris
LT was still
Johnson.
playing.
Yeah,
LT
and
was
LT,
still playing.
but you saw
LT was
two
still
people
playing.
rush for over 2,000 yards. It's gonna be a long time before you see something like that again. I feel like. I mean, maybe with the extra game, but I mean, people just aren't using. It's more of a committee now when it comes to running backs for teams.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. It was kind of the beginning of that, like, yeah, just like I was saying, just that dual purpose,
Because like
versatile threat guy.
we're missing like Marshawn Lynch here.
Well, yeah, but we were trying to go for
But-
like underrated guys. I don't feel like Marshawn is underrated in
We
any sort.
know,
If
we
anything,
know.
hold on. If anything, Marshawn is slightly overrated because of his like personality and status in life. Like Marshawn is he's a Super Bowl winning running back. He has great stats, but I'm saying like as far as like just put him up side by side, I would imagine he has something similar to like 8,000 yards. Let's look here. Marshawn.
But say, come on, you're losing me, Bren. You're losing me.
Hold on here. Let's just
Bad take
let me
winner
not
again.
speak. Let me not speak out of turn here. I'm pulling up the stats, but I would imagine like a guy like Matt Forte has similar stats to a guy like Marshawn Lynch.
Slander on.
So Marshawn
I'm-
did cross the 10,000 yard mark.
Okay.
He did cross the 10,000 yard mark, but he played for 13 total years. So a guy like Zeke could potentially pass him in his 9th year. So, and I'm not trying to shit on Marshawn here. I'm not trying. He had 2 1,000 yard seasons in Buffalo. Had 1, 2,
Just
3,
think so far.
4 straight 1,000-yard 10.
No, I
touchdown
just-
seasons in
I
Seattle.
kind of I feel what he's saying. Like we
I mean,
don't like people
but-
don't forget about him.
Yeah, like people don't forget. Like Marshawn is a top 5 running back of the past 20 years, probably I would say. But like that's because of the status he acquired. He's a Super Bowl winner. He was on like Marshawn's not winning a Super Bowl if the Seahawks don't have that great defense, right? Like
Right.
that defense won them those Super Bowls. It's the same thing I say about Russell Wilson. Like people are like, oh, Russell Wilson, like back in the day, like 2014, 15, 16, they're like, Russell Wilson's so good. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like, no, that defense was a Super Bowl winning defense. Like that offense just performed well enough not to lose. And so I feel like Marshawn's kind of in that same boat. He had the stats, but it wasn't because he was some ungodly talent. Like he was great. And I just don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like he's slightly overhyped because of his personality and how likable he is. Everybody thinks of him more and puts him up on a pedestal higher. Like I would bet if you ask most people, like, give me your top 10 running backs since 2010, like I get most people would still have them in their top 5. And that's a little much for me. I would rather have prime Todd Gurley than prime Marshawn Lynch. From like just a player perspective, I'd rather have prime Derrick Henry, prime Christian McCaffrey. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Marshawn. I'd rather have prime AP. I'd rather have prime Jamal Charles. Like,
Where would you put Steven Jackson then?
gosh, dude, Steven Jackson's a tough one for me. I would. He was
dude rushed for over
rushed.
1,000 yards
But he
8
just like
seasons
fell
in a
off
row.
cliff, dude. Like
Yeah.
I remember he left St. Louis and he went to Atlanta, right?
Yep, he went to Atlanta.
Yeah,
and
and
that
he
was
went-
it.
Never heard from him again. Like Steven Jackson, like he was like an AP type. Like they were very similar in size, very similar
Right.
in ability, and then all of a sudden, Steven Jackson just off a cliff.
But
And
he
I'm
was
like, no.
in LA or not LA. He was in St. Louis at the time
yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
And I mean, like I said, 8 seasons of over 1,000 yards. That's
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
No, not trying to take away. He's a good running back.
I don't hear anybody ever talk about him though.
So here, let me ask you this: would you rather have prime LaShawn McCoy or prime Marshawn Lynch?
Ooh.
So this is my point.
Probably
It's
LaShawn
debatable.
McCoy.
But it's debate. Like
Yeah, it
either
is
way you go, it's
debatable.
debatable. Marshawn Lynch is looked at way more highly than Shady McCoy is. Way more.
See, I'd probably take Shady McCoy in his prime. No,
Don't you take a Marshawn?
Yeah, but I'm. So I
You cut out
Cut
cut
out.
out
Like Shady.
completely there.
Ever since,
You cut out completely there. Didn't hear what
ever
you
since
said.
ever since he became an analyst, I am not high on him.
Not
I
a
think
Shady fan.
I think he's a hater. I think that's all he is a hater.
I think he's a hater.
You know who I love as an analyst? It's not a running back, but Steve Smith Sr. I fucking love that guy.
He is.
Steve,
yeah, he's. I think he's
Steve
freaking
Smith
funny.
is one of my.
One of
Dude,
the funniest videos when it comes to NFL I've ever seen was him talking to
yeah.
DJ Moore about.
No, he's talking to Cam Newton.
Or
he's talking to Cam, with
he's
DJ
talking
Moore
to Cam
right
Newton
next
about
to him.
DJ Moore.
Yeah. Should I start this guy?
I start him.
No, I'm not gonna start it.
He's like you put up a. What do you say? He's like, you put up 2 points and smack the shit out of you, or something like that. And I'm just like, that's fucking
dude,
funny.
that dude is a legend. But that Steve Smith Sr. is another guy who falls victim to the hype train, right? Like, I mean, I think he's a great all-time receiver, and I love Steve Smith Sr. And if I was starting a team, I would honestly love to have a guy like that on my team. A guy like that, not his stats, just his dog, like the dog in him. I love that attitude.
Man, he's just not giving anybody their flowers, man. Holy shit!
So, like, I'm just saying, like, he doesn't deserve to be in the same conversation. I'm saying that as in, like, I would consider taking him on my team. He's not a top 10 wide receiver all time. No chance.
No. I don't
but he's so hyped up, and I like him so much that, like, I would consider it. So, like, it's one of those, it's just a hype.
Is he at least top 20 all time, you think? Or is that too high?
I think top 20 is fair.
Okay.
There's a lot of great wide receivers, though, dude. There's a lot of great wide receivers.
So I promise.
That's another day's list. That's another day's
I
list.
promise when it comes to running backs, this is it. But I'm curious. I probably shouldn't even say his name because he did get into trouble. But do you know who I'm thinking of?
Voldemort?
Wait, hold on. Is it Ray Rice?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was just gonna say the running back that played
Super Bowl winning running back.
Played for the
Super Bowl
Baltimore
winning
Ravens.
running back.
I mean, he didn't do very bad during the while he was there. I mean,
yeah, no, and then Baltimore had a good stretch of years where they were struggling to replace him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember rest in peace. He's passed away now, but Alex Collins, he was the Arkansas running back. He was the tap dancer. You guys remember him?
I don't remember him.
Alex Collins. He played for the Seahawks for a couple years, but he was one of those guys that they looked at to try to replace Ray Rice, and nobody could replace him until, they got Lamar Jackson in there, but, he replaced him in a different way. So, but no, Ray Rice, not, we all know how that story goes.
Yep.
Can't be doing DV stuff and expect to play in the NFL. You just can't. That's unacceptable. So unfortunately, that's just not how that works. You can't do that. But I don't have any more big running back name. If we forgot a name, throw it in the comments. Let us know who we forgot. Let us know why our takes are so bad. Hashtag bad take Brandon. Throw it in the comments. Dalton would love if you guys got that trending. Dalton would.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
Dalton.
I would.
Dalton would cry.
That's his contact name in my phone is bad take Brenner.
All right. Well,
I do have two things before we go.
Oh, two
questions for you guys.
Yeah.
One, give me AFC, NFC championship game predictions. Go.
AFC championship game. I'm gonna go Chiefs Bengals. Okay. NFC championship game. I'm gonna go with NFC championship. God, I'm gonna go with Philadelphia and San Francisco.
I'm thinking Chiefs Ravens for the AFC.
Oh, damn it, Ravens. That's what I should have went. I'm gonna change mine. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Change your mind. Kansas City doesn't make it back.
You don't think you think it's Bengals Ravens?
Yep.
Chiefs Ravens. Let's see. I'm assuming the 49ers are probably going to go back.
I don't want to, but yeah.
Honestly, probably Niners or Eagles again.
Niners Eagles.
Eagles. That running game is going to be so nasty.
Chiefs Texans. Niners Packers.
Nah, dude. Packers won't make it. Packers. So there's 3 teams in the NFL that I feel like are being overhyped a lot right now.
You always think that the Packers are overhyped, though.
But
there's 2 of them in the NFC North that you're going to say they're being overhyped.
There are. Yes,
3,
there are.
Probably.
But no, just 2. Detroit proved by making the NFC Championship game that they are not overhyped. They get their credit where credit is due. When you perform like that, you get your comeuppance. The Bears are a team that's being overhyped. These super teams rarely work out. Like I'm not saying they're going to be a failure. I'm just saying apply the brake pedal a little bit. Don't put all the pressure on Caleb to lead this team to a playoff run year one. I've seen several people say playoff run, like they could make, the divisional round, like the first year. They could, but don't make that an expectation of them.
Yeah.
Like that is a high level. Like this is a 500 team for right now. This is a 500 team realistically. Okay. Maybe in year 2, then making a playoff run seems very reasonable. But that's really high expectations to put on a team that has not played a snap together yet. The second team is the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, another situation where, they're on the edge of being really good, and you add Danielle Hunter, you add Stephon Diggs, you add a couple more pieces on defense. You have this great roster. Yeah, you add Joe Mixon, you have this great roster. These teams just rarely ever work out. It just people get hurt. Like I said,
at all.
I understand, and I'm not saying they won't achieve their potential. I'm just saying people are putting a lot of stock into those teams. And the third is the Green Bay Packers. Hear me out on this. They don't have a true receiving weapon on their team. Jordan Love played phenomenal at the second half of the season last year, but he played like dog shit the first half of the season last year. And you don't get to just be like, oh, he was good the second half of the season, so now he'll be good his whole career. If he comes out next season and has a great season all year, totally change my tune about it. I'll hate him forever, and he can be a good quarterback. But as of right now, you have shown me that for 7 games, you can play at a Pro Bowl level. I need to see it for 16 games before I start saying, oh, yeah, like the Packers are a team like that to be worried about. Like they're
didn't get one wide receiver from the draft.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs was a huge addition for them. Don't get me wrong. Like that's a great addition. Josh Jacobs is a good player, but he's, 26, 27. So you only have a few years left to him. They don't have a true like wide receiver 1 threat. Romeo Doubs, like that's who you're going to trot out there to go against guys like Sauce Gardner and Devon Witherspoon. Like you're going to try him out there to just take them on 1v1. Trayvon Diggs. Like it's just, they don't have a guy that scares you there. Matt LaFleur has done a great job of being a great offensive head coach and scheming up great plays for good players. And I've said this several times. Matt LaFleur, for Aaron Rodgers' time there, was the best offensive mind in the NFL over Sean McVay. And it took him some time to figure it out without Aaron Rodgers there in that buffer. But he figured it out at the end of last season. He figured out how to do it. And I need to see it for a full 16 games before I can get on that hype train of like the Packers are here. Right now, the Packers are like a ceiling 10-win team to me. Like they showed last season they can be really good, but they also showed last season they can be really bad. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
So that's my only. It's not that they're like they can't achieve these heights. I just feel like people are expecting the most that they can possibly get out of those teams, when in reality, it should probably be like 2 steps back. Okay. I would say one of those 3 teams hits their potential.
I got one more question.
Hit us.
Random question. With the Lakers picking Bronny. With the Lakers picking Bronny, do you think that there is a potential for a father-son active player duo in the NFL?
Currently?
Do you think we'll ever see that in our lifetime?
That's going to be a no, just because I think with the NBA being not as like a contact sport as football, obviously, injury, like you're going to get injured.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say, I say we could absolutely see, a guy has a kid at 21, 20 years old, and when he's in college, he plays quarterback, comes in, plays till he's 40. I mean,
I think the only way you see it is at the quarterback position, because you're not going to see a running. You're not going to see a running back. You're not going to see a wide receiver father-son duo.
I would love to see a quarterback who has a son who becomes a running back.
Oh, a handoff.
That's what I'm saying.
That would be cool.
Or even a wide receiver, or 2 quarterbacks. One's a backup.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. You get drafted to replace him. That would be cool. All right. Well,
So
you guys got anything else?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. Take a second, like, comment, subscribe, share the video to somebody you hate, share it to somebody you love. Who cares? Just share it. We will be back later this week with our NFL season predictions, and we will be doing week 9 this week. So keep an eye out for that this Friday. Other than that, we will see y'all later.